plenty across Chicagoland, then we could pass that along and share it. But temperatures, yeah, okay, so we're still in the mid to upper 80s in Northwest Indiana. And I will say, I'm glad to see the 70s for our western counties. So we're starting to cool behind this front already. Can we pull up wind speeds, wind gusts by chance?
So we can. There's just going to be a little bit of a jolt in the graphics. So
we're going to pull up the show.
Here. Yep.
I just want to see where that cold front is located. And I'm glad that we're going to be dragging in the cooler air so that those of you who have lost power, you can open those windows at least. Now, Northwest Indiana, obviously, it's still very toasty for you, and it's going to be pretty miserable.
So here's wind gusts, Caitlin.
Okay, yeah, so you can kind of see where those winds are coming together, where the cold front's located in Northwest Indiana. So we're seeing gusts of 45, 40 in Gary. Of course, within these thunderstorms, we're talking 70 plus possible, where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings. But this is really going to make a difference in our weather. And actually, tomorrow's going to be another toasty day with the chance for storms in the afternoon, but then we're going to be back down into the 60s this weekend. So this is going to be a game changer as we head into the weekend after tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. All right, a little bit of a jolt with the graphics here. We're going to get you back over to the radar. So our active warnings that we have at the moment, southern Cook County into eastern Will County, you have the warning that's lasting until 8:45, so about another 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes or so. Same things for those of you in northeastern Kankakee County, and then across Porter and Lake County, we also have severe thunderstorm warnings that are going to be lasting until 9:15. So tonight with you is Chief Meteorologist Emily Wahls, and I also have Kaitlin Cody. Kaitlin, say hi.
Hi.
We are now live on YouTube just to provide updates for anyone that is, dealing with the severe storms at this point. But for those of you that are in the Chicago area, so specifically in Chicago, there's a big concert going on tonight. I'm sure you've heard of it, Beyonce, and that has been it's been delayed, right, Kaitlin? It's been delayed?
Yeah, it's been delayed, and we're trying to keep up to date with the latest. So the latest message is that the concert is not going to go on before 9. At least we're going to wait till 9. As far as how late they're willing to wait, they said until midnight. So I think they're going to be able to kick off here shortly, honestly. I'm glad that we didn't have to push it too far back, but we haven't gotten an official time for when the concert is going to start. I'm glad that the storms are now shifting south. Of course, there's still very strong winds associated with these storms. With that latest run here, you can see that most of this heavy thunderstorm activity has been pushing out of Cook County now, which is great. So now we're looking at mostly Lake County. So from Gary, stretching south along I-65, Cedar Lake, you are kind of in between two areas of thunderstorm activity. Lowell's about to get hit pretty hard. But that cluster that is just south of Cedar Lake has frequent lightning, and it's going to be pushing to the northeast too. So I-65, Lake County, that's where we're going to be getting hit here shortly. There's a closer look. So Beecher, east to Indiana, south of Cedar Lake, Lowell, this is where we're having the strongest winds. And as far as how strong these winds are, 70 mile per hour plus with winds are possible. I guess we could turn on. Yeah, let's see what readings we're getting from these winds now.
So just east of Grant Park, so now moving across the state line and southwest of Lowell, some of the higher returns that we're seeing, about 50 miles per hour. But at the surface, of course, with this moving through, I think we're going to be seeing a little bit higher amounts there. Let's go ahead and jump to the north a bit, because take a look at this, Kaitlin. We're seeing all those brighter pinks showing up here, the purples. Yeah. So that's suggesting higher winds moving through. For those of you in Merrillville right now, about 55 miles per hour, but this is also elevated. So down at the surface, one, you've got torrential downpours coming down. So that's cool air that's rushing out of these storms toward the surface. So that can create kind of like a gust front toward the surface. So keep that in mind for those of you in the Merrillville area that you could be dealing with some very gusty winds at the moment. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning for all of Lake County, Indiana, and into Porter County until 9:15. And this is for winds up to around 70. Was it 70, Kaitlin, or was it 60? I think it's
70.
70 mile per hour winds possible for portions of northwest Indiana. But outside of that, we're seeing some, pretty heavy downpours, a lot of lightning with this too. And, fortunately, we haven't been getting a ton of rain lately, so there's going to be a lot of places that this rain can go. We shouldn't end up with too much standing water. Maybe in the immediate we will.
Yeah.
But over time, that is going to recede. Now, for those of you in LaPorte County, Kaitlin did just pop on this other shade of red that you're seeing here. That is the tornado watch. We're likely going to start to see that kind of being axed out of northeastern Illinois. We're already seeing that across LaSalle County, DeKalb County, McHenry County. You have officially been dropped from the tornado watch, but it remains in effect until 10 p.m. now for all remaining counties, but also for those of you in LaPorte County. So LaPorte County near the Michigan border there in northwest Indiana. Your tornado watch is now going to be in effect until 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Eastern. But I really wouldn't be surprised if this is dropped sooner than that because it's for this line that's currently moving through. So for those of us that are on the back side of this line, this is oh, there we go. I was just about to say, we're likely going to see it dropped. For those of you now in Cook County, DuPage County, Kane, Kendall, Grundy, Will, as well as Kankakee, you have officially been dropped from that tornado watch, but it's going to remain in effect for Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Newton, and Jasper counties in northwest Indiana until this line moves through. Let's go ahead and put this in motion. I want to watch the evolution of this line, and what we are seeing is a little bit of a weakening trend, and that's great news for those of you that are in Lake County, Porter County. Notice from Cedar Lake up toward Gary that the returns, they're not quite as intense as what they were looking just about 15, 20 minutes ago as this storm was rolling into Lake County. Nonetheless, we are still getting gusty winds associated with that. But the cell that I think, is obviously looking a little more robust is this one that's about to cross the state line. It's already beginning to cross over the state line into Lowell. The leading edge is approaching Lowell now, Cedar Lake area, Route 41. We're likely seeing heavy downpours, a lot of lightning, and likely some gusty winds as well. For those of you just east of Route 1 through Beecher, Grant Park, you're on the back side of this storm now. It's going to be moving away from you, and these storms currently are moving at about 50 miles per hour to the east-northeast. So pretty soon here, likely in the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to see this moving out of Illinois entirely, and then it's more or less going to be in northwest Indiana. So northwest Indiana problem for the next couple of hours or so. But for those of you in LaPorte County, once again, you have been added to that tornado watch that's going to remain in effect until 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Eastern. Everywhere else, the tornado watch is only extending until 10 p.m. And again, as this line moves through, Caitlin, we're likely going to see those being dropped early.
Yeah, which is great. So if we look forward through the rest of the night, if you have storm anxiety, know that we are going to have a clearing trend. So I think starting off tomorrow morning, it's actually going to be quite lovely. We've got sunshine on the way for your Friday. We do have the chance for rain and storms to form again in the afternoon and into the early evening. And some of those could be strong to severe again, unfortunately. But then again, tomorrow night, they're going to end, and then we're going to have a streak of some really nice weather to look forward to this weekend. Comfortable conditions, upper 60s expected Saturday, Sunday, mid 60s. So today was a hot one. I hope you enjoyed it before these thunderstorms came rocking through. We had sunshine. I know we had some fog this morning, and now we're just watching this line, this cold front push on by. But don't worry, because as mentioned, tomorrow we're going to have temperatures soaring back into the mid and upper 80s. So it's very windy out there right now. We have non-thunderstorm wind gusts of 40 to 45 miles per hour. And in these severe thunderstorm warned storms, we have had a history of 70-plus mile per hour winds, so we still could have some very strong gusty winds with these thunderstorms. And I do think, too, the two main things you're going to notice is the strong wind along with the potential for that small hail and also just this heavy rain. It's pouring out there. You want to talk about the dew point, Emily?
Well, I just wanted to point out, take a look at how they're dropping, Caitlin, on the back side of these storms. So all day long, it's been hot, it's been really humid, right?
Yeah.
So we had a record high temperature at O'Hare today. I believe we ended up at 93 degrees, and the previous record was 91 set back in 1962. So we had a record high temperature today. It was really, really humid. We had dew points in the upper 60s and low 70s, and that's what you're still feeling throughout the south suburbs, northwest Indiana. And that kind of gives you a good idea of where that soupy air mass is, and that's a lot of times what's going to contribute to fueling these storms when you have a lot of instability, warmth, humidity. And notice after the storms move through in northeast Illinois, we're beginning to see those dew points dropping. So much more comfortable over in places like Rockford, DeKalb, LaSalle, where we're seeing those dew points dropping down into the 40s and 50s. So for those of you in the western sections of Chicagoland, you're really starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Everyone else, we're still waiting on it.
Yeah. I have to say, too, those lower dew points is going to transition to our concern tomorrow. Along with the chance for storms, we could actually have spreading wildfires. So that's something to keep in mind tomorrow is, even though it's going to be a hot day, I probably don't have to tell you to have a fire out, don't have a fire outside. But with the strong winds, with the drier conditions, Friday, one of our biggest headlines is actually going to be the potential for wildfires. I know we had videos earlier today, I believe it was out of Minneapolis, of wildfires in woods. So tomorrow our concern is going to be behind this system that we have very dry air And so we don't want you to burn anything outside. Of course, as we transition into the afternoon and evening, we have that chance for storms to return. But in the meantime, yeah, Emily pointed out that we do have this very dry air mass returning after such a soupy kind of day.
Yeah, and we actually have the potential of storms again tomorrow too, Caitlin. So after about 3 p.m. or so, it's looking like we could be seeing some storms firing up tomorrow. So what you're looking at here, the severe weather outlook, let me go ahead and take the warnings off of this one. This is for tomorrow. So today we had the enhanced risk. That's the orange shading, a level 3 of 5. Tomorrow, we're going to be in a marginal risk for a good portion of the area. That's the green shading here. That's a level 1 of 5 for those of you highlighted in yellow across the south suburbs, northwest Indiana. That's a slight risk. That is for a level 2 of 5, meaning scattered severe storms could be possible. Main hazards tomorrow going to be for wind as well as the potential for hail. And you'll notice here on the tornado day 2 outlook, there's still a small chance. There is a risk of tornadoes tomorrow, so it's a non-zero chance, 2% for most of us, 5% across southern Newton and Jasper counties. But the threat today was definitely higher.
10%,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's right. So this is a look what we're seeing now. This is today's tornado risk. So across northwest Indiana, where we still have those storms rolling through, the Storm Prediction Center still has us in a 10% risk there. The brown shading is a 5% and then a 2% in the green. But of course, for those of you in northeastern Illinois, the storms are now past you. This is now in northwest Indiana. So getting back to the radar, let's check our warnings back on here. This darker shade of red, this is a tornado watch that's remaining in effect until 10 p.m., but it will be dropped sooner once the storms clear that area, as it has done in Illinois. For those of you in Lake and Porter, Indiana, we have this orange box here. This is a severe thunderstorm warning extending until 9:15 p.m., including places like Hobart, Merrillville, Crown Point, Cedar Lake, Lowell, and Valparaiso, Portage, Burns Harbor over in Porter County, also seeing some of those stronger storms. So right now we have our severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and Porter lasting until 9:15. But the good news is that they're beginning to look at least a little less organized, Caitlin.
Let's throw on that lightning, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on. Okay.
Still a light show.
Looks like this one down by Cedar Lake is still cranking out some good lightning with it. But no, I'm with you. I see a weakening trend compared to what we had before when we put on the velocity. Let me take off the lightning where we can show you where the strongest winds are. It looks like south of Portage where you see that purple color. So if we get our little device here to get the estimated wind, 66 miles per hour. So they're still strong. It looks like around maybe 60 to 70 mile per hour wind speeds possible within these thunderstorms at the strongest. But you know, a short time ago, they were cranking out 70 to 75 mile per hour winds. But so we still have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Lake and Porter County in northwest Indiana. Chicago, well, you might have some drizzle left over, but luckily that tornado watch that you see in dark red has expired for Chicago points west. Now it's holding on only for our northwest Indiana counties. So Lake to Porter to LaPorte County, where we still have these thunderstorms rolling on through. Again, within these thunderstorms, we could have some gustier winds and definitely going to have the frequent lightning and heavy downpours. But really, I think that we lucked out. I mean, when we zoomed out, we've been watching these storms develop all afternoon. Wisconsin got hit hard with tornado warnings. You can see this line north of us still bringing tornado warnings after crossing Lake Michigan into portions of western Michigan. Severe thunderstorm warnings up and down the western portions of Michigan. And then even the southern branch of this line of storms was very strong earlier. We were watching them as they approached and as they moved into Chicagoland. That's why we initially came on here, because we had that damaging thunderstorm possible with winds at 70 to 80 miles per hour plus, and of course those large hail storms that moved through in portions of Will County into southern Cook County. And so we've just been watching this cold front chug through Chicago and now northwest Indiana. We just got to get through these next few, I would say about an hour, and then we're going to have these storms continue to push east, and we'll be seeing that tornado watch drop as those thunderstorms continue to push east.
Yeah, that's right. So the corridor of strongest winds at this point looks to be from the southern extent of the Lake Michigan, reaching toward Gary and then inland toward Valparaiso. That's where we're seeing some of the strongest winds at this point. You can see that here on velocity, where you have this pink and the purples showing up here. So this whole area across northeastern Lake County and northern Porter County now beginning to extend into northwestern LaPorte County. That's where we have the strongest winds at this point. Again, Caitlin was just showing this, but 66-mile-per-hour winds possible on the northwest side of Valparaiso. So again, we still have these severe thunderstorm warnings that are going to remain in effect until 9:15 p.m. for those of you that are in Lake and Porter counties. For right now, we're actually going to wrap up our coverage here on Fox Local, and we are gearing up for the show on Fox 32 Chicago that begins at 9 p.m. So for now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Emily Wahls. I'm here with Kaitlin Cody.
Have a great night, you guys.
Yes, have a great night.
Thanks for joining us. This was super fun.
Yes, thanks for watching, and we will see you on Fox 32 Chicago for the 9 p.m. news in about 9 minutes.